Oh, here we go again on the limited shit again. Oh, okay, so we have another limited physical release that is broken. This gravy train doesn't fucking end, it seems. It doesn't. It just keeps on going. And now look, I want to make this clear for any fans or anyone who happens to be from Super Whale Games watching this. Look, I love your products. You're very expensive for me as an American. Importing is expensive with you, and I don't know if that's normally expensive if you happen to live in the actual area of Super Whale Games. It's very expensive to buy your shit. And I continue to because you do a lot of good games, and I like a lot of your releases and that, and they're very nicely done and everything. So, of course, when I heard that one of your games had a potentially a game-breaking bug, I, as somebody who likes preserving games and is part of a testing group, of course, wanted to look into that, especially since we had the whole thing happening with Special Reserves recently. So, I've been trying to keep tabs on this. Now, as far as I know, this is not a final statement from them, but they have commented on it to some official capacity at this point now, when originally they hadn't, other than just be like, yeah, we'll be right back with you. And I understand that because they probably want to look into it and make sure whether there's an actual way to get around the bug or a way to avoid the bug in that. So, from it seems that they were incapable of doing such. It seems that it is indeed a game-breaking bug that nobody has found any way to get around, which is disappointing. Now, this is a no game called Hell's Pie, which looks like a collectathon platformer to me. I'm not particularly familiar with it myself, but apparently this was a title that was originally going to be done last year, but because of bugs, they've delayed it as it's been getting fixed. And they were informed that it was fixed when it's not. So, whether this is a new bug or the same bug they originally was delaying for, that is unknown. I don't have any information or anyone who seems to actually be able to answer that question. But this is, of course, very sad. Now, look. We could sit here all day and say, like, the AAA market does this shit to everyone all the time. Well, Harry Potter Hogwarts, there's a fucking demo tutorial on the disc, and now you have to download the game and shit and that. Like, and there's a reason I'm not buying it. Because it's that reason is why I'm not buying it. That's why I am not buying it. So, like, that seems like those are my concerns with games. Like, games like that, I'm not going to buy, especially not brand new. Maybe when they're cheap as dirt, because they're broken garbage in that sense. But, yeah, like, this is a premium product that's limited, and it is expensive. And it's just inexcusable, in my opinion, especially when you... Look, I'm not saying I know who to blame. I don't know if it's you. I don't know if it's the publisher. I don't know if it's Nintendo. We as gamers, like any of you that are like me that have been in gaming a long time, have certainly felt since the PS3 to now, there has been a weaker quality at how product is fucking released nowadays. I'm sure most of you would agree with me. Compared from the PS2 and backward from the PS3 to now, there is a vastly different scale of quality of how these games come to be out in the physical world. Sure, there's always been bugs in releases even in older times. Things have happened before. But usually in those times, they would reprint those majorly bad problems, usually. Oh... there's actually two releases on the original DS in America that actually came out horribly bugged. It was a Bobble Bobble game and that Capcom, SNK Capcom card game. I think, though, in that case, the bugs in, like, New Game Plus, though, I think. But Yeah, those were both issues, where they gave new copies to people who bought those. And, of course, getting those fixed copies now or a nightmare to tell between the original release and the new release and shit. And then, that's a whole complicated thing. But the point here is Super Whale Games has made a statement now. And as I said, I am unaware if it is their final statement on the matter. But their statement basically is that we are basically sad. We feel ashamed that this all happened and stuff. But basically, they said there was a patch that fixes this problem, of course, by updating the game. Now, of course, for us who care about having a working physical copy, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Especially from a company like, look, as I was just saying with like Hogwarts Legacy and shit, you can whine and cry all about the AAA market doing that to us all the time, but just because those dummies who do buy that stuff, I don't buy that shit. I buy working stuff for at least high prices. That shit is stuff I either get through like trades of packing material with this local game store here for free, or that I get ridiculously dirt cheap or something. Like, I don't touch that shit with a $20 bill or higher. Hell, they'd be lucky I'd touch it with a 10 and a 5. Point is, like, I don't touch that shit. And I shouldn't be told that, oh, you need to just bite the bullet on the money you fucking spent. We've had this conversation before. You don't buy a hamburger and get a fucking milkshake and expect it to be like, oh, well, I'm sorry. Like, you bought a product to work. Okay? And I understand those people in the game industry that release incomplete shit all the time. I'm looking at a lot of Western companies, but there's some of you Japanese companies that have been doing it here and there too. Releasing broken products or not fixing them and shit. Like, it's a sad state when we used to be in a period of time where this shit would actually get fixed. Now, of course, there are all cases of old games that won't, but those are all different. Because those have to do with companies and shit. Look, I feel like not fixing this is the poor choice, obviously. You're making people have less faith in your product, and you're harming your brand. And your brand, to me, is a pretty good quality of games and stuff, but very expensive. And, if you're going down a route where your games are going to have the risk of being broken, you're ruining a trust that I am paying for your 3-game bundles that I don't get to know what the fuck the games are when I buy it. I only get to know the first one. The other two I don't get to know. Like, because it saves on shipping. Like, you're ruining trust you have with people. Like, even if you were offering just a refund, not a return refund, which is what they're doing. That is what their statement is. They are offering a return refund. So you return product, you get refund. I mean, even if you were just doing a refund, like you last kept the game and offered a refund, like I still think that's just, that's a better scenario because at least we don't feel whipped off. Because at least we got our money back in that sense, to be fair. That would be better than what you're doing now. But still, in my opinion, that is still a terrible course of action. The correct course of action is to fix what is broken, to give us a working product. We, at limited companies, expect working, physical, preservable games that we can look forward to fucking working down the road when the console is no longer supported, that it no longer has access to patches and shit. That is why many of us buy this shit. The other half is basically scalpers who are hoping to hoard out money on all this shit. But a lot of us care about the preserving of these games and being capable of playing it like a fucking NES game. I have NES games that still fucking function. That's why I would like a lot of my games to continue as. And I'm sure there'll be the people like, oh, disc one and all that kind of crap. And like, that'll come when it happens. I've never experienced any of that stuff. Nothing lasts forever. Humans don't last forever, and I'm sure all physical media will have a point where it dies. And that's not the conversation I'm having here. We paid for a working game with full price premium functioning game. Okay, it's not like we paid $5 for this. Like, we paid full price for this shit. And look, I'm not trying to be rude or evil or anything, but, I'm sick of seeing the whole, oh, well, little company, and this isn't an easy matter. Like, of course it's not easy. When somebody fucks up, it's never easy. When anyone makes a mistake, it's never fucking easy to fix it. But the right thing to do is to fix it. To do something about it. And when your answer is basically, I get, and the other thing we don't actually know is, while they're offering return refunds, I don't know if they're covering the shipping or not, which I always think is bullshit if you have to cover it. Because you're the paying customer that is being harmed. So you shouldn't have to pay for it, in my opinion. But anyway, I don't know if that actually is the case in that sense, if you happen to go down that road. But again, I want to stress that I don't know if this is the final statement. They said they are looking at feedback still. So I think if people push enough for wanting a fixed copy, I think there was a good likelihood that they could go in that direction. But I feel it's sad that we have to continuously do the whole war drum thing over and over again over this matter, again and again. Like Limited One and Special Reserves did the same thing where they tried to downplay it. Pity, look, Limited One Games was probably the most offensive statement on the Doom thing. Because they also tried to do the whole little company thing. Little company thing. You're the biggest limited printing company out of all these businesses. You're the last person who has any fucking right to be trying to play the little small company card here. I'm sick of seeing this over and over again. In your business, you should have seen all these other times this has always happened. Now, they said, there is good news in this statement. They said they are going to actually do an extra QA test and make sure the game is completable and shit on their end. So, apparently, through it, the developer was supposed to do it. So, I guess you could say they might be light-handedly trying to point blame at the developers. And again, I don't know who to blame in this. I don't know the whole story of how this game's history is in making this physical product. So I'm not directly pointing fingers myself, but from what they put out there in their statement, it makes it sound like it was up to the developer to QA test it to make sure it's functioning. Now, I honestly think all these limited companies need to fucking be doing it themselves or pay someone to do themselves. And I wouldn't think that would be hard. There's tons of gaming people that would probably love a $60, $100 bill to play through a fucking game. I don't think that would be super expensive. Especially since you usually get, a lot of these companies usually get samples. So, you just give them a sample, here's $100 or whatever, and play through the whole game and send us, footage or something, There's plenty of Let's Players and shit. Hell, there's the group I'm in that fucking does tests. I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer when your company is trying to sell, and again, I said this in my really long rant thing, you don't, say it word for word, but you advertise to people like me, basically, that want a physical product, that want it to be preserved, that want to fucking work without the need of online and patches and shit. It can have some that improve it, but we want a product that at least works down the road when we won't have that option. Collectors and things like that, that's your market. And when you have a product like this, you hurt everyone, including scalpers. Because who the fuck in 50 years is going to want a copy of Hell Pie that's broken, that you can't actually finish, that's impossible to beat as far as anyone's aware of right now? Why would somebody on eBay fucking care about a broken game like that outside of Lucy rarity if it ever achieves even such a thing? which who knows? It could, it might not. Weird games become super expensive sometimes, so it's hard to say if that would even be its fate. But the point is, how many people are going to generally want to buy Hellpie down the road if it's fucking broken at the end, that you can't complete it? I can't imagine a lot of people, especially if it's super expensive. Like, it's just such a stupid thing. It hurts everyone, and everyone should be upset. So it's always sad to see these defending type people be like, oh, you should just update and not worry about it. You should eat the costs that you worked hard to pay for. You know, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I keep seeing it over and over again. Like, we have to, like, want a freaking, like, revolt to fucking get what it should be done for something. Like, I'm not saying it's cheap. I'm not saying it's not a lot of work. It's shitty because yes, you're eating cost because you're making new product on your fucking dime and shit. But that's why it should have been a porn to fucking make sure the stuff works. That you should make sure it actually is something you can play through. That is possible to beat it. Even if there might be a weird bug or something that could hinder the game. Like, you should at least have that basic courtesy to your fucking audience. I think everyone in the industry, AAA and everyone, should have that courtesy. Because like I said, if I know your game is fucking broken shit, I'm not going to buy it for brand new at least. I might buy it on a really cheap sale or something. Like, Back 4 Blood. Here's another interesting example of a physical game that's basically going to be a disc coaster. You can't play it offline without its fucking patch. So, obviously, down the road, when that doesn't exist anymore as an avenue, it's going to be a dead game unless it ever gets a new version with the single-player patch that's on it, which, at this moment, it looks like they're not looking to make more content for the game, so it's probably likely it's just dead. So it's going to be a dead game. It's going to be worthless as a physical product. And you want to know how I got mine? I got mine for free, basically. You want to know how I got it? I got it on sale on Amazon. I bought the max amount of copies I could buy, and I traded in the extra copies to GameStop for about $15 each when they were like $7.99 or $9.99. I can't remember. But yeah, I just bought a bunch of copies and traded the extras to GameStop, kept the case, and got the game for free, basically, you know. Shit like that's how I usually try to get these games. Trading the packing material and shit that I get from shipments and stuff and that. Like, you know, I don't waste my money on this kind of shit very often. It has to be like a really exciting game that I'm going to play with some really close friends for me to ever even remotely consider the idea. To even remotely consider the idea. I just really wish this wasn't the case. Because I like Super Whale games. I don't want to come off as an asshole that's sitting here saying you're garbage and shit, that you all don't do anything in that. Like, I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to be the villain here. And I'm not trying to make you seem like the villain. I understand fixing this is expensive. It's going to be work, and somebody's going to be wasting a lot of time and money fixing this stuff. But it's still the right thing to do. And the community and your consumer base will have vastly more respect for you for doing it. But that's basically what I have to say. So at this moment of this video, Hellpie is sold out physically, aside from its Steelbook Edition. You have the regular edition, Steelbook Edition, and the Bundle Edition. The Bundle Edition, if you're not familiar with Super Whale games, is the next 3 releases, and they'll combine. That's what I do, save shipping, because it's a European company. So, yeah, it's expensive shipping, so getting them all bundled together saves on it. And it's a nice way to get future pre-orders just locked in without having to obsessively keep track of that shit, because that stuff is also really annoying. But basically, the only way you can buy it now is the Steelbook Edition. So you can still technically buy it, and they do have a warning on their website about the bug. props on being transparent about that on there and putting it out there if you scroll down to read it along with the other information of the game. Honestly, I think it should be up there at the top, but I get it. You want to sell product and stuff, so you're going to make it where somebody has to actually look at it. So, I get it. You need to sell it. Because obviously you don't want to be stuck with a whole bunch of broken shit. Especially if you're going to stick to this route of only doing torn refunds. I get it. It's a tough thing in that. But honestly, I'm going to hold out. Because I have actually reached out. I want to state, I have not got confirmation that this is the final statement on this. They did say in their statement that they are looking at feedback. So to me, that feels like, based on things, they might consider going down that route maybe. And I encourage everyone to kindly put your opinions out there, preferably to fix this. But if you don't agree with me, I prefer you to be honest, obviously, with your opinion with them. I'm not telling you to do what I say that. But I think that would be the proper thing. But everyone has different opinions, obviously. But yeah. So hopefully I may have a video in the future about update about Hell Pie possibly being replaced, which would be good. I would prefer that. I still hold greatly strictly limited games being very kind at not even having to fucking argue with them about this. Still, in my opinion, the only company to properly do this. Limited One and Special Reserve games were very hesitant and really were trying to do the whole, no, before they went and broke down to replacing them. So, and I think the companies need to be held responsible for that. I think all of them, including AAA fucking places, all need to be held accountable for these kind of broken leases and shit. I think it is something that is awful. But, you know, what can you do? What can you do? You can only just not buy the product. But the sad thing, as much as I didn't buy Hogwarts Legacy for that reason, it outsold Elden Ring anyway. So you see that, and like with some of the newer Pokemon games, that's why they're going to continue doing that stuff, because people are continuing to do that. So I can only control myself and recommend people to hold you have a right to get what you paid for. Don't you think? Like, if you paid for something, like I said, if you paid for a hamburger and you get a milkshake, don't you deserve the hamburger that you paid for? Like, it's just a stupid concept to me to be like, oh, you should eat your hard-earned money and just be happy you got a broken cartridge. Like, I just don't get that logic. I don't get that argument at all. I don't get people who are like that. But that's just me. Anyway, though, if you have any questions about this matter or anything, feel free to leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your opinion on these matters. Because, I mean, we're all into this kind of thing about games and stuff, and I know Hell Pie might not necessarily be everyone's cup of tea. It's supposed to be like I said, I think a collectathon platformer from what I've seen, so it's not necessarily my cup of tea either, but I think regardless of what the game is, I think it's an important message that these should be working products, and they should be sure that they are good before selling them, regardless of what game it is. But anyway, I've rambled on too much. I try not to be mean. Like I said, I like Super Whale games. I don't like that they're very expensive for me, especially since I've been noticing with each bundle order, the price just going up a little bit more each time. And I'm not liking that either. And, you know, this whole situation kind of just adds a little chip to maybe be like, maybe you should start considering not getting the releases a little bit more. That, you know, I'm not necessarily trying to say to do that, but I mean, with so many limited companies, I have honestly been trying to be a lot more selective. Like, I've actually passed up 2 of Limited One releases. I've skipped on a number of Wet Arts releases, because as much as I really like Wet Arts' better shipping times, like about 90% of catalog is shipped when it's available with only a few pre-order things. But they do still do a lot of shelfware, but they have been getting a lot of great titles as well. I was still surprised they got the Suikoden guys Kickstarter thing. That I swear that I thought Limited One Games was get their hands on. So they've been doing some nice old releases and stuff. I give them props on that. But still, they still do a lot of shelfware titles that are subjective quality based on person and stuff and that. And I get ones that I think that'll be interesting or fun or that I like the ideas of, but the ones that I don't really feel or anything I like or think it's just really bad, like I'm just skipping it. Like there's too many of these games and then I have to be a little bit more selective. I'm not trying to run myself into the fucking ground, After all, I got medical bills I have to pay from last year, I got responsibilities. And, like people say, the dark side, Phil, you need to know when you need to pull back on things to not run yourself into debt. But then again, he went into debt. So, I guess he learned the harder lesson. But anyway, the point is, yeah, that just adds a notch to me considering that kind of thing. And like I don't necessarily do that because you all usually have lots of really good titles. A few of them, but a lot of them are really good. I'm really happy about the dual pack of those survival horror games. Those I'm really looking forward to for this Halloween. I'm pretty sure that's probably what I'm going to play this Halloween. But yeah. Those are my thoughts on the whole matter. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and hopefully I will have an update about more positive news on this, because I think I really, I've stressed this all the way twice now. I don't think it's hard to look at your other fellow companies, your competitors, and see they made this mistake multiple times and be like, hey guys, we want to be better, so let's actually step up to make sure this doesn't happen to us. But instead, it happened anyway. Like, I think it is something all, not just limited companies, should test the fucking physical products to make sure they fucking work. But, yeah. Anyway, I've rambled enough of that. I've took your time. So thank you. I look forward to comments, hopefully, on the matter. And I will see you another time. Be careful out there in the proving grounds. Toodaloos.